Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much, as always, for being here. I always get confused around like 6:30, like what's considered evening and it's like late afternoon, I think is probably the proper terminology. Anyways, we're listening to this song, Bloom at Night. This is from the band Lump and off of their album, Animal. Second studio album released in 2021. We're listening to this because it was a recommendation and a sponsorship from Sheldon Howells. So Sheldon, thank you so much for the recommendation and for the support. I appreciate that. Now, I was also gifted this album from Animal, which I admittedly have not listened to yet, but I do know that this features Laura Marling, who I have listened to on my own from some of the albums that have been gifted to me, and then a little bit here on the channel as well. So I like her music. I like especially the Eagle Suite. That's really good. So excited to dive on in. Let's go ahead and give it a listen. We'll talk about it a little bit after. Here we go. I already like that opening. It's a very savory kind of sequencer. It's bubbling and popping. I like how calm this is. It's so gentle.
I heard a word that they paint mirrors on their face, and soon forget that they reflect but don't create. I heard the birds were drawn to peck at such charades, and I put money on your struggles to relate. Those who find themselves acclaimed go to God to get renamed. It took one God 7 days to go insane. You never know, you could
Oh, come on.
surprise us all in time. Who'll ever know if it was you that caused the crime? I know a rose who only cares to bloom at night. It's that more lovely than the ones who seek the light. Seek the light. You crawl across a
That's good.
crowded room to get your picture with the bloom. Something rare, but it's not there to entertain.
Hold back and slow down. Hold the note.
Entertain.
Get the falsetto. That's great. That's good. And I like how that synth has kind of held the note that she did as well. This kind of windy sound.
I predict that this affliction lasts for life. I suspect that you'll regret your lust for light. I suggest that you address your appetite. For to be seen to cast your beam across the night, you
like how this is like that tempo, right, in the verse. Kind of picks up it a little bit. There's deliberation here.
I've seen good men go insane before.
And then the slow down, the pullback.
By any other name.
And this very warm, almost Mellotron-esque, like the flute setting. I don't think it is, but it's so warm and inviting. That was good. That was really, really good. And you could hear that was going to lead into the next track there as well. So first of all, I love this setup. So, okay, with Laura Marling, from what I've listened to her, she's like a kind of indie folk artist, and I love her sound. It's great. But here, it's definitely leaning more towards an electronic kind of synthy sound, which I think works so well with her folk nature because that has not been lost. It's still there. Just replace the acoustic guitar with some sequencers. Replace, I don't know, the mandolin with, some arp. Like, it's really cool how that's kind of interchanging these instruments, still in a sense providing a similar sound, or should I say feel and heart, but at the same time giving it a different kind of color as a whole. So in the very beginning, those sequencers that are bubbling up on the sides is really, really tastefully done. Then when she comes in singing, it's beautiful. I love her singing, and I love the way that she delivers her sound and everything. And then it takes us, or at least myself, it takes me in unexpected places, from the way that her harmonies rise beneath in this gentle whisper. I love that one moment in the chorus where she holds the notes, she sustains it. And then as she sustains it, of course, the music kind of slows down behind her. The drums go more into that boom, that more powerful, slow kind of part. And then her voice, as a sustained, the synth kind of takes over her vocal line. And that's where I was saying it sounds like this kind of synthy wind. It was just really, really well done. It kind of reminds me of Pink Floyd. Okay, in Pink Floyd, Dogs. In Dogs. Remember when he's singing, da 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 da, and he, I was gonna try to sing it, and he's like, hold it away, and then his voice carries and it changes as the synth line rises right beneath, and it captures that same note and it continues on while his voice fades out. It's kind of similar in that aspect. I was just listening to Pink Floyd the other day. That's why that's kind of fresh in my mind. But like, I just really liked how that's done. And it's so fun because it still has kind of to an extent, a slightly poppy song structure, but it definitely plays and dallies with that. And it's just really fun. It kind of reminded me of, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, so I might be off. But it kind of reminds me of Imogen Heap or Imogen Heap. One of those has to be right. It kind of reminds me of that kind of similar indie electronic sound, experimental in its own way, but at the same time very conventional to an extent. It plays less with the structure and more with the sounds and the delivery, which this came across really nicely. Also, I see that the band Lump is really just two people, Laura Marling and producer Mike Lindsay. It's just them. That's it. I think that's quite impressive. I heard a word that they paint mirrors on their face and soon forget that they reflect but don't create. It's a great line. I heard that birds were drawn to peck at such charades, and I'd put money on your struggles to relate. Those who find themselves acclaimed go to God to get renamed. It took one God 7 days to go insane. That is such a good line. So I view this like, okay, blooming at night. Blooming, I think of feathers. Not feathers, flowers. Flowers don't typically bloom at night unless I'm mistaken. So there's a growth that's happening at night in the dark. There's a progress that's happening perhaps at a time when one wouldn't expect. You never know, you could surprise us all in time. Who'll ever know if it was you that caused the crime? I know a rose who only cares to bloom at night. Is that more lovely than the ones who seek the light? That's good. See, like that's the person that whatever she's talking about or whoever she's talking about, this person who only cares to bloom at night. They only come alive in the dark, at night, in the shadows. Not necessarily in a negative connotation, but perhaps, for example, maybe they're an introvert. Maybe they feel more alive in a more personal, intimate kind of way, rather than seeking the attention and the lights, or the limelight, so to speak. You crawled across a crowded room to get your picture with the bloom, something rare, but it's not there to entertain, like that person or it's not there to entertain you. I predict that this affliction lasts for life. I suspect that you'll regret your lust for light. I suggest that you address your appetite for to be seen to cast your beam across the night. Then, of course, it repeats those lines there. You plucked and called it by your name. I've seen good men go insane before they'd call a rose by any other name. That's such a great ending. that's such a great way to wrap this up. Of course, a little bit of Shakespeare. I've seen good men go insane before they'd call a rose by any other name. Like almost in denial. Like, no. It can't be that. It can't be this. Unable to accept that change. Unable to accept that reality. Makes you think a little bit. That was a good one. I like that a lot. Thank you so much, Sheldon, for the recommendation and for the suggestion and, of course, for the support as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for being here, and I will see you all later. Bye.